begin.
What up, nation? Welcome to the first edition of the Wise Take MLB DFS Wise Stream 2020. Didn't think this day would come. Very happy to be joined once again by the GOAT, the true OG, Paulie D, who you can find on Twitter at Paulie with 8 of them bitches. I know the nation has missed Paulie D, and I know Paulie D has missed the nation. Paulie, what's happening, bro?
What's up, man? It's good to be back. You know, it almost doesn't feel real yet. I guess once my lineups are in last place, it'll feel real again, and then hopefully we rally back. But it sucks to only have a 2-game slate to come back to baseball with. I feel like tomorrow's gonna be more like, the real kind of slate. But any sports is better than what we've had the last few months.
Oh, yeah, bro. I mean, listen, I've been doing content for KBO and League of Legends over the last 2-3 months, which is the equivalent of giving blowjobs for like $1 a piece. So it's yeah, for free, essentially. So, well, at least from my perspective, some people enjoy doing that, and to you, then, there's a different analogy that needs to be applied. But for me personally, and how I feel about things, that would be my equivalent. So I'm happy to have something back. And you know what? For us, like, I'm trying to be optimistic with this new rush, this new energy that we've got. And for me, I'm glad that I kind of started off with a small slate because it gave me an opportunity to make sure that the new tools at whitetake.com, which I did a stream earlier kind of going over with the nation some of the new stuff we got, it gave me a chance to kind of finalize those things and make sure they're all set up. So even though I'm excited more for tomorrow's slate as far as playing, I'm not really playing too much today on a 2-gamer. I am excited just in general to be back, and like I said, it did kind of work out a little bit for us to make sure that give the nation an opportunity to test out the new tools, give them an opportunity to kind of see how things work, and really, man, just to kind of have a day to be back that's not so pressure filled, right? Like, I'm just happy to be talking to you and the nation today. Tomorrow it's about business. Tomorrow I'm trying to make money. I'm trying to win some money. You know what I mean? And we got basketball coming around the corner. So this is like a little warm up. We get a little basketball action. Went from having no sports to about to have a sports overload. And then hopefully, if everything goes well, it'll be football season by the time it's all said and done, man. So
if everything goes well,
that's it, man.
Keep your fingers crossed.
That's it, man. If you're religious, you pray. If you're not, just think about that shit extra hard. Extra hard. Long and hard. Ugh. Gotta get all that shit out my system. With that said, if you're new to the Wise Take Nation, welcome. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow us on Twitch. Hit the like button. The likes really go a long way. Help us out. Allow us to continue to do the dirty on the YouTube networks. See some of you guys piling in here. We appreciate you. Seeing a lot of familiar faces coming back. Seeing some familiar faces in the Slack. Didn't get a chance to be in the Slack as much as I wanted to today, but just a little precursor for these late night these Wise Stream baseball Wise Streams Monday through Friday. We're not going to do them all the way up until lock necessarily. If the show takes us up until lock, then so be it. But for the most part, we're going to kind of be doing the oh, look at that. Holla. Frank Corona, my man.
Frank Corona.
Super chat. Welcome back. Let's go, Cole and Yanks, man, with the $3 super chat, man. That's a new thing, man. I just got the super chat up, and then COVID came and knocked us all down. I forgot that was even a thing. But Frank reminded us. Frank also, shout out to Frank. I did talk to Frank a little bit earlier. A longtime member of the nation, very loyal member of the nation. I know he's super excited to have everything back. That's cool, man. It comes in blue, so I can't miss that shit, man. It's like you went on Emerald.
I mean, if we get like a 3-figure thing, like I'll whip it out on camera or something.
Oh, you mean you've got to figure out what that worth something.
We gotta create like a reward system.
Yeah, man. Yeah, like if you do this, then this happens. If you do this, then this happens. So if you want to see the piece, only gonna cost 3 figures.
Right. 3 figures. That's it. Cheap.
Real cheap. And it would not disappoint, man. Point per dollar. It grades out very well on a point per dollar scale.
Very well.
But man, oh man, it's good to be back, man. It's funny too, bro, because like even like me and you, and obviously over the years since Wise Take open, you and I have gotten cool, man. We gotten real cool. We've been close doing shows, talk every day. And during COVID, it was also like a little like we had nothing to talk about because there was no sports. So it was kind of like I'm busy doing my thing, you're busy doing your thing, and now it feels like things we're taking a step towards normalcy. That's what it feels like, right?
Yeah,
taking a step towards normalcy.
It feels good. It's like
Yes.
getting back on the right track.
Yes.
I really like stepped away from DFS like completely. I played like a little bit of KBO and MMA. I did play every time there was a slate, but
Yeah.
I needed a break, man. We were going hard for like 3 years.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
like it was nice, but after like a month, I was like, all right, I need sports back.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But like you hit it on the head though, man. And that's one thing. Even when I was doing the KBO streams, I was telling them I met some new faces while we were doing those shows, telling them the same thing, man. Always trying to make the best of a shitty situation at all times, because there's always gonna be shitty situations. It's a matter of you and how you handle those situations. And for us, man, like I took that opportunity to not only provide the content for the people that were willing to play KBO, League of Legends, and all that stuff, but really for us, for the main sports, man. We have a whole new content direction. I think that a lot of our stuff is more number based. We've got these cool statistic tools to let people do research. So I think we cover more bases, and our content's become more, I don't know, catering to more different types of more of a one size fit all type approach. We got something for everyone. So again, man, it's a shitty that this is the circumstances in which we got that break, but you get a break, you make the most of it. And I think that's what we did, man. So I know everybody's glad to be back. Shout out to Chris Cox. Shout out to MG. MG was screwed, bro. He couldn't even play KBO because they don't let you play that shit in New York. He couldn't even play that. He's itching. He's fiending hard, man. I saw him snooping around the PGA chat several times during that. I don't even know if he was playing. I think he was just in there because he was bored. Just talk about something relevant. Oh man. So real quick, we'll get into some of the new stuff we know about this. So we know it's a 60-game season. With that said, we're expecting more of a playoff type atmosphere. Every game is, including tonight, every game matters. You've only got 60 games to separate yourself from the rest of the pack. We know there's going to be a universal DH, so we're going to see the National League players are going to have a DH that's going to be beneficial to some teams, and for some teams, I would imagine beneficial overall for the league. But there's going to be some teams who maybe prefer it the other way. If the teams like the Giants and all these guys who just suck and don't really have, maybe they're like Madison Bumgarner. I know he's not on the Giants anymore, but had he been there, would have been a better hitter than probably their DH, whoever that's going to be. So just it's perspective. It's all about perspective. Paulie, with the DH rule, with a 60-game season, and there's probably a couple of things that I'm missing here. Talk to me about how you think it's going to impact the way this thing goes.
I think it just with no preseason, I expect pitchers not to go as long. I mean, that's nothing earth-shattering. Most people around the industry are saying that, but it makes sense. Like, I think you're going to see more teams take, like, the Tampa Bay approach. Maybe not start the game with a reliever, but, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th innings, try to get your stud pitchers healthy to the postseason. And, as you mentioned, only 60 games, you get hot early, and, a team that wasn't expected to do well or maybe wouldn't over a long haul could make the playoffs and have like a Cinderella kind of season. So I think you're going to see like inspired play throughout instead of like this long, drawn out 162 game season that they normally have. So I think it's just going to lead to more exciting baseball. And with no preseason, I think it's going to be an advantage to the hitters. And we're going to see, starters not go as long as they're still getting into shape, and all that kind of plays advantage, as well as the addition of the DH to the National League to the offenses. So I think we're going to be leaning offenses more often than not, at least in the early going.
Yeah, man. We just got some breaking. It's funny you mentioned pitchers maybe not being able to go certain distances or getting cut short. Kershaw just cut real short. Kershaw just got placed on the IL with a back injury. So right out the gate, little NBA action for us right out the gate, right? Some little late scratch. Clayton Kershaw has been scratched. He will not be pitching. Dustin May will be getting the start for the Dodgers today. So got to be some last minute type shit, right? Like, because they have other pitchers they could have used.
That was like, the chalkiest pitcher on the slate in Kershaw for sure.
Right.
And
he's
that changes quite a bit.
Definitely. So it'll give us something interesting to talk about. I'm going to go through and obviously have to update everything on the projections and the stat sheet to reflect Kershaw's scratch. But it is what it is. 2 games.
Do you know
what's up?
Do you know what May's price is?
No, I'm looking for him right now, so I'll be able to tell you that in literally just a couple seconds. Ooh, if I didn't click that button. That button's not the one. I'm hoping he's in the player pool at this point. But, why don't we do this? Let's start off with the first game. And as you're talking about that game, I'll get all the information we need on Dustin May updated.
On DraftKings.
He's how much? 6? 6 7?
8.
Oh, 6-8.
5.
Oh, okay. With that said, Paulie, we've got the Nationals hosting your New York Yankees in a DH, all DH game here. This game has some weather, so this slate could get canceled. And if you play KBO, you're used to that because we saw 2 nights in a row KBO got rained out completely. DraftKings refunded the fees. So DraftKings has already said that if one of these games gets canceled, they're just going to cancel the slate and refund the money. With that said, if this game does play, we've got 2 of the top pitchers in the league, and Garrett Cole facing off against Max Scherzer. We got the defending champion Washington Nationals, though they do look a little bit different. No Anthony Rendon there. And then, of course, we've got the New York Yankees coming off a screw job from the Houston Astros. Everybody got screwed, but they got screwed extra hard because I believe they were who the Astros beat to get into the series, right? Correct? It was the New York Yankees. So they went out there. Can't beat him, join him type shit. Went out, got Garrett Cole, said holla. Cheating, not cheating. We still want Garrett Cole doing dirties. Garrett Cole expected to be limited to around 90 pitches. As you mentioned, we did not have a full spring training, and we expect to see that kind of reflect on some of these pitchers. So why don't you talk to us a little bit about this game. We expect these 2 pitchers to be popular, especially now that Kershaw is gone. But do thy dirty to thy neighbor and have no regrets.
Yeah, on single pitcher sites like FanDuel, I like the idea of grabbing Cole, especially. He's the most expensive. He's hard to build the lineup around, and I was kind of getting the impression, before the weather came into play, that Scherzer was going to be a little more popular than Cole. But you look at the 2 lineups, the Yankees lineup is certainly more dangerous at this point with, guys that Washington lost either to injury or to free agency. This lineup's pretty ugly, if you ask me. So I really like the idea of Garrett Cole. Yankee season opener. He was the best pitcher in baseball last year. He had the highest strikeout rates. Terrible lineup he's facing. And I thought Clayton Kershaw was going to be the chalk. He was slightly cheaper on both sites than these guys. And that game didn't have any weather concerns. Now you chop Kershaw off. These guys are going to be popular, but on a single pitcher site like FanDuel, you just want those points. I think Garrett Cole has the highest ceiling by far now. And, even in 90 pitches, he could get you 6 to 9 strikeouts, probably won't give up very many runs. He's the guy I think I would play in a cash game. And, on DraftKings where you're forced to use 2 pitchers, I like the idea of using him quite a bit. Scherzer, honestly, I like the idea of attacking. I just think the Yankees have a lot of power hitters. He's probably not at peak Scherzer levels right now, so he's probably, the most prone he is to kind of getting lit up than he ever will be. Got beat up in a, preseason game, whatever they were calling that stuff last week a little bit. The weather, a little humidity, ball should be carrying, middle of the summer, 8-mile-per-hour wind blowing out. I like the Yankees bats, assuming guys are going to be using Scherzer, and I just, there's not much to choose from on this slate. So I don't mind the idea of using both these pitchers, especially before Kershaw got eliminated. Now, I don't think that's as, as contrarian, because the other pitcher for the Dodgers is still expensive, although May's probably still going to be popular. People are going to pick on the Giants, but people are probably going to be pairing them with one of these 2 pitchers and using the Dodgers bats. That's probably the chalk build. So I like Cole a lot, and I like the idea of attacking Scherzer. That's mostly where I'm at on this game with the pitchers. Should I go to the bats, or you want to touch on that? What do you think?
Yeah, on the pitching, I agree with you. I think that Cole, I think that the people that play and have played MLB DFS for years were already going to go Cole Scherzer. I think you have 2 of the top pitchers in the game. Kershaw was already kind of declining. Not to say he wasn't good, but he was declining on a fantasy level for a little bit. But I do think that there's a big market of people of maybe, I don't want to say more casual type players who were planning on using a lot of Kershaw because the builds were easier. It was easier to get the Dodger bats when you had a Kershaw price where he was. Now you mentioned Dustin May, a guy who people are unfamiliar with by name, or at least more people are unfamiliar with, and he's more expensive than Kershaw was. He's only $100 cheaper than Scherzer. So I fully expect Garrett Cole and Scherzer's ownership to be just, it was already going to be high, right? It's a 2-game slate, but But just I think we'll see him on, I don't know, maybe 80%. That combination, not just each player, but that combination, I think we'll see like 70-80% at this point. Like you said, maybe some people who are a little tournament wise, just for the ownership's sake, they might pivot to make this feeling like, hey man, he's got a good matchup and people aren't going to play him. And I think it does change the dynamic of things. But it is interesting to me, as you mentioned with Scherzer, because when we had Kershaw as an option, that was kind of my theory too. Like maybe, you know what, maybe I want to play some Yankees and just kind of avoid Scherzer at least a little bit, because you got a very explosive offense who's not going to be the chalk of the slate because Scherzer's pitching. One thing about Scherzer we know is he is prone to home runs. We know that even though the Washington Park dimensions aren't great, it plays as a pretty friendly hitter park because of the humidity. It's warm. Like that's the one benefit of this COVID shit. We're not starting with that spring shit. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, you got it's cold weather places, and we're going right into the fucking heat, man. Going right into the heat.
Yep.
So, you know.
And last year, the Nationals bullpen was one of the worst in baseball.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it was like,
yep,
all those things.
Yep. But I do agree with you. I'll let you move on to the bats. I do agree with you that Garrett Cole is like, he's the one guy that to me is a constant. Assuming that this game plays and there's no rain, like he's the guy for me. Like it's him pairing him with who, and then on FanDuel it's just him. That's my perspective of it. Especially remember, keep in mind the national team a little bit different. We got Eric Thames. Eric Thames strikes out a ton. Obviously I think he's replacing Zimmerman, and then Starlin Castro, is that their replacement? The combination of Starlin Castro and Howie Kendrick are supposed to be replacing Anthony Rendon. Is that what's going on? Holla.
Yep. Soto's in.
Soto COVID scratch, our first COVID scratch, bro. We got our first late scratch for Kershaw, first COVID scratch, like right out the gates, just letting us know how it's gonna be all day.
You know, bat wise, I really like everybody in this Yankees lineup. You know, Aaron Judge, probably my favorite. Like Aaron Hicks leading off. Gleyber Torres, the GOAT. Really like Gary Sanchez, Luke Voigt, and then Tyler Wade batting ninth. He's cheap as shit on both sites. He's kind of like a piece you're gonna need to fit all those expensive bats with a Garrett Cole. And you know, we'll talk about this after we touch on the next game, but on DraftKings, I do think that there's merit now to using a reliever so that you can kind of get a stud pitcher and some stud bats and kind of, you know, hope to get that decent inning or, you know, whatever. But I think there's merit to that now with Kershaw going down and the slate kind of changing. But I really like all the Yankees bats, especially the power ones. You know, Stanton, I'm never a big fan of, especially against like these power pitchers. Just looks like 4 strikeouts coming, but maybe, you know, maybe he'll get into one. You know, Brett Gardner, a little less power. And I don't really care about splits so much with Max Scherzer. Like, he can give it up to either side. It's, you know, he's either striking him out or giving up a home run for the most part. On the Washington side, you know, this is ugly. Like, you know, I'd be cool if you wanted to take like a shot on Eric Thames. Like you said, he's probably going to strike out 4 times, but maybe he gets into one. As Drupal Cabrera, the switch hitter, like against Garrett Cole, you definitely want lefties. Actually, I'm really just making that up. I think I'm right about that, but I should verify because we haven't been doing this for a minute. Let me see. Yeah. That is incorrect. He strikes out lefties more, but gives up the power to lefties. But he's pretty damn good against both sides. I don't know. I'm not really into the Washington side at all with this crappy lineup. It's really just Yankees bats for me the more I think about this.
Yeah, you know, I try on a 2-game slate. You want to like the GPP player in you wants to like make something. You know, the Nationals are going to be like the lowest on stack, even over the Giants. I think people are more likely to play the Giants because the Giants could be that glue team to allow them to connect a couple Yankee bats or whatever with a couple Dodger bats, whatever they want in the pitching. But it's really hard to make a case for some of these Nationals. Now, I will say, looking at the lineup, they do have a lot of guys who are tough to strike out. Guys like, I know Adam Eaton. Starlin Castro, say what you will, the guy is very tough to strike out. Drupal Cabrera has always had a reputation of being tough.
Yeah,
Howie Kendrick. So you can make the argument because Cole is only getting 90 pitches. But we are getting kind of a discount on him. Like, we're used to paying like $12K, $11.5 or whatever it is on DraftKings, and like or something like $14K, whatever it is on FanDuel. So we are getting a little bit of a discount. Well, on FanDuel, he's like 12 too. It's not that much of a discount, but So I will say that even so, it's still very tough for me to make a strong case for the national bats. Like, I like the other three offenses, all three of them more. I will say this: the Giants' offense, which we'll get into next, to me, this is a step down. I wanted those guys against a lefty, so we'll see if the lineup looks a little bit different. But I will say that Kershaw's a lefty, May's a righty, so that could affect that. And the only reason I bring it up now is because that impacts where I rank the Nationals. So maybe the Nationals went from 4th out of 4 to maybe 3 out of 4 at this point for me. But it's really, really hard to justify attacking Cole. And even if you do get to Cole a little bit, which I think in the interleague games, I think Cole gave up a home run to who? Was it Andujar who hit a home run? Oh, he gave up a home run to somebody. Or maybe a couple people. And I think back-to-back jacks at one point, actually, to other Yankees. But even if they get to him a little bit, the Yankees bullpen, man, has always been legit. So I know they don't have, but they don't have Betances, right? He's a Met now. We took him. They don't, and I think they might be missing one or two other. I had to take a little poke at that. Chapman, they don't have Chapman, right? Wig was in the chat earlier, filling me in on this stuff. Chapman is out right now, I think with COVID. So maybe not the same, but I don't know. It's
they still got good arms on the pen.
It's just it's tough. It's really, really tough. Even to be super contrarian, it's really tough to make a case.
Like Zach Britton, their bullpen's loaded.
I think that, like you said, Thames, if you're looking for a home run one-off type, and then maybe Trey Turner, simply because if he can get on base, you got to believe he's going to try to steal, because they can't expect to put up tons of runs against Cole. So if they get on base, you got to figure the guys with speed are going to try at least. Interesting. We'll get to see Gary the GOAT, right? Catch Garrett Cole tonight, huh? That should be interesting. I heard he's been working on his defense, bro. That's what I heard. Word on the street. Run around the block. We'll see.
He hit a bomb the other day.
Yeah, that I'm not worried about. I think we'll still see plenty of that. Let's move it over to the next game, Paulie. We got the Giants and Doyers. Talk to me about Cueto against Dustin May.
Yeah, so I think the Dodgers bats are the chalk of the slate against Johnny Cueto. He got roughed up by the Dodgers late in the year last year, and he's a righty. The Dodgers got all that lefty power. He will definitely be contrarian. I don't think anyone's really going to use him, even for like the savings. There's just other ways to get, to some of the other players you want. So I do like the idea on 2-pitcher sites using him, and even on FanDuel, to kind of stick to the theme of focusing more on offenses. If all these starters are out by the 5th or 6th inning, there's a lot of time against bullpens, and Cueto point per dollar could kind of come close or exceed some of these guys if he just stays out of trouble. I don't love it because I do like the Dodgers bats. They're just, loaded, similar to the Yankees. But I do, he's a vet. I wouldn't be shocked to see him, go out there, do well. Not a ton of strikeouts, but just keep the ball on the ground, kind of, be efficient. And some of these Dodger bats being rusty and not making good contact, So I like the idea of using some Cueto. Dustin May, we saw him towards the middle of the year last year. He's the redheaded, long-haired pitcher. Then he spent most of the time out of the bullpen, throws some gas. Gonna get ownership because people still want to use the Dodgers. They were going to use Kershaw, and now he's cheaper, so maybe you pivot from Kershaw to May in your already built lineup, and then upgrade a batter too. So he's going to be popular. I'm not that into him now. I kind of have more interest in the Giants bats, but I'll use him a tad. Of the pitchers today, is like you said, Garrett Cole on single pitcher sites or Cueto, just because that. Well, actually, I don't know what May is on FanDuel. You have that up by any chance?
I'm muted. Yeah. Yes. May is 5,500 over there.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
okay,
so
that's different. So either is all right on FanDuel. I don't think May's going to pitch that deep, 4 or 5 innings tops, but that really may be enough. And if the slate becomes like an offensive one, he will allow you a ton of bats on FanDuel. So, for me, it's either Cole or cheap pitcher on FanDuel and then load up on the bats. And then on DraftKings, I really don't have a ton of interest in May at 8.6. I just don't think that savings offers me much. I think I'd rather consider a reliever somewhere. And I got to do a little research on who particularly.
Yeah, it's interesting when we talk about May. I'm pretty sure May at the end of last season was basically coming out of the bullpen.
Yeah,
Well, I guess that was playoffs a lot too, right? Like in the playoffs, he featured that. But
well, that too.
with May against the Giants, I think the way I'm going to play, like say I had two teams hypothetically, I literally think that I'm playing May on one team for the sake of, and maybe this is more so of a FanDuel deal, like you said, because he's like 50. I mean, he's 55 over there. It's a little hard to justify paying $100 less for Scherzer. But think about it this way: if you are, say hypothetically, I want to do a Yankees stack, I'm not going to play Scherzer on that team. So say on DraftKings I had Cole. I have a choice between Cueto and May at this point, and if I can find enough value by using, if I could find enough value without having to play a Giant, then you could make the argument for May simply because the Giants, depending on who's available for the Giants, I think the projected lineup that you're seeing elsewhere is going to be way different than what we see. I think that the projected lineup that's out was what we expected with Kershaw, a lefty, and now we're going to see, I don't know, like they do have Brandon Belt's out, but they have like Yastrzemski. I think they have, I don't know if Dickerson's with them or not, but they have certain players that aren't necessarily good but are left-handed. And looking at May's statistics from last year, he did drastically struggle against lefties, more sort of righties. He had looks like a 379 WOBA to lefties. Compare that to a 210 WOBA to righties. So depending on the lineups we see, and that's going to put you in a shitty spot if we don't get the lineup. I mean, the Dodgers lineup just came out, but if we don't get the Giants lineup in time for this game to start, that could put you in a weird spot because if the Giants go all right-handed like their current lineup projects, where they only have a couple lefties, then that actually does look like a really good spot for a guy like May, assuming he's going for a real start. And likewise, the same thing, if they throw out a bunch of lefties, it's going to look like a pretty good time to maybe attack him. So I think that's how I'm going to play it. Say I have two teams. I think I'm going to use May on one, that I'm not using Scherzer, mix some Yankees bats in with maybe some Dodger bats. And then on the other hand, what I think I'll do is I'll use Scherzer in that one and just go the chalk route. And because I think the chalk build right now in DraftKings is going to be Garrett Cole, Max Scherzer, and then a game stack of the Dodgers-Giants game. That's what I'm expecting to be like the chalk standard build. So maybe one of those, and then one where I get a little bit different, go for the leverage route and hope this pitcher is low owned because, like you said, people don't want to fucking pay $8,500 for him. I don't want to, but it's a 1 game slate. I'm playing. 2 game slate. I'm playing light. Why not get a little different? Different. But on FanDuel, I definitely be trying some May teams. 5-5, why the fuck not? Throw him in there with some Dodger players. You can throw some Yankees in there, no problem. Much easier decision over there at 5-5. DraftKings, they're really, really trying to tempt you over there. Maybe we see some Scooter Gennett, bro. I think he's on the Giants. Little Scooter. This game's in the Dodger Stadium too. It's not great, but it's much better than fucking where the Giants play. Holla. Did you hear the Toronto Blue Jays are playing in PNC Park this year?
I did.
Canada said no, bro. Canada said no.
I know.
Let's talk about some bats. What you got here?
So, obviously this Dodger lineup looks amazing, whether it's Cueto or the next couple of guys. The addition of Mookie Betts, just took a really good lineup and made it incredible. Looks like they're moving Jock Peterson down. They're going to lead off Max Muncy. You got Cody Bellinger batting third, Justin Turner fourth, Corey Seager back from injury. This kid's a stud. Kike Hernandez, Jock Peterson, as I mentioned, seventh. AJ Pollock is your 8 hitter, and then Austin Barnes at catcher. I mean, I'm not going to be many times I don't like the Dodgers lineup. Really interested in Betts, Bellinger. Muncy, Peterson are both cool as well. And then I like the Giants bats. I like them against Kershaw a little bit. And, I'm still going to like them against May and then the rest of the bullpen. It's just I don't know who's going to be in there. But, Yastrzemski for sure. That kid's on his way to being a stud. If Darren Ruff cracks the lineup, I'd still have a little bit of interest in him. Austin Slater was really a lefty masher, so I was, more interested in using him if Kershaw was pitching. Brandon Crawford, Pablo Sandoval can still hit the ball. We'll see what kind of lineup comes out, but they're all cheap, so that helps. And I just don't think they're going to be that popular. I personally think guys are going to go Cole May more than Cole Scherzer, especially with even though. That doesn't apply saying that there's rain because you're still using Cole, but I don't know. I just don't think Scherzer's going to be that popular. Maybe I'm wrong. But I just think like that savings to get down to May and then add a couple more bats may end up being chalkier. But I'm cool with Giant bats. I'm cool with Dodger bats. Like them both. I will be using the pitchers as well from this game. I'm just pretty much not using any Nationals at all. You're muted.
I'm about to give the kiss of death and acknowledge that I too will not be used. The only team that I don't plan on using. Now I may have some Scherzer, but as far as offenses go, the only offense that I don't plan on getting exposure to is really the Nationals. Again, we're playing light. It's not like we're doing 150 teams, so why not have a couple, right? This is more like, I'm doing a few teams because it's just fucking first day, and I don't want to, if I lose, not playing the Nationals against Garrett Cole, so be it. That's just kind of that's just the way I feel today. I'm playing the amount of money to where if that's how I lose, I can accept that. Maybe only punch the wall one time and be over it and just be done with it. Pray for no injuries. Bro, speaking of injuries, I've been cooking, right? During this COVID break, I've been cooking. And delicious food. It's fun. I do enjoy it, all that stuff. But when you don't have any like proper knife training with the, like it's one thing to have knife training on the streets and shit. It's another thing to have knife training in the kitchen. That's a whole other type of situation. And I do not have the proper skills. I got cuts all over my hands. It's irrelevant, but I haven't talked to you in a while, so that was just that's us catching up right there, man. That's what I've been up to, trying to cut my fingers. Yeah.
What are you doing, man? You got cuts all over your fingers, even without no proper.
Oh, man, trying to make that garlic bread. You know all about that garlic bread, bro. You're Italian, you know all about it, man. Trying to cut that bread all nice and fine. Sometimes a little slip action. It's all about the angles, man. Because you try to get slick, like, if I just hold it this way. And then you're like, wait a minute, if I'm pulling it towards me, so if I miss, yep, finger cut. Now what? That's how that's done. But I do agree with you, man. So it's interesting. We're waiting on the Giants lineup. I'm seeing like the projected lineup. Like you do have some value with the Giants. Brandon Crawford's 2-7, and the projected lineups I see have him leading off. Alex Dickerson 3-3. So there are definitely paths of getting some of these Giants in there to make things work. It'll be interesting. That's the last lineup we're waiting for. Aside from that, this was cool, man. Like, first show, get a little warmed up. We got about 30 minutes or so until actual lock. I'll try to pop into the Slack just to get warmed up. And I told the nation that we're going to try to make a more conscious effort to be involved in the Slack more. That's one thing I know you and I both felt like we could have improved on as far as trying to improve our product. So obviously these other things, the content is the priority, the show is a priority, but we will try to be in the Slack a little bit more. And as far as these shows, man, like we plan on we're doing the show probably like an hour before we lock, and just kind of we're gonna rock out till we're done. We're not gonna draw you out until lock with baseball. It's not like NBA where you're waiting for a late scratch every single day. Just so happens we had a late scratch today, but we're hoping that's somewhat of a rarity. Although the COVID stuff may change that, but maybe more like an NBA type situation.
Yeah.
But regardless, go ahead.
One dude had a question: is May righty or lefty? He's righty. If there are questions, shoot them in there now before we.
Yes, I definitely almost left them hanging. So I'm glad you said that. If you have questions, go ahead and fire them in there. For those of you who don't know, who have access to wisestake.com, if you're a subscriber, the stat sheet, I did update it so you can see the handedness of the pitchers and the hitters, just to kind of help you out with those situations. But yes, May is a righty. Elliot says, Scooter Gennett, 4 homers. Yes, he did. He did that in Cincinnati. Today he's in L.A., but shit. But he's done it, though, right? Even if you take away one of those homers because of the park, it's still 3 homers, right? Dinger's a dinger. We didn't do any Dong Watch, but we're gonna bring that back. We could rename it if we want to later, but for now, let's pick some home runs in this mother sucker, man.
All right. I'm gonna go with Mike Yastrzemski.
Ooh, I like that against Dustin Mayberry. I'm gonna go with give me some Aaron Hicks action, man, of Scherzer.
Nice. I'll take Mookie Betts.
Mookie Betts, man, I didn't even mention him. He just got paid, or he's in the process. Did he sign the contract yet, or is he in the process of it?
Yeah.
He did already.
12 years, like $370, I think it was.
He's feeling pretty good about himself. I still can't believe the Red Sox just were willing to let him go like that. I mean, maybe there's something about him that I don't know, but I don't know. If I had the opportunity, I would have tried to pay that dude. He looks like a pretty damn good player. I mean, he says all the right shit when he's on the media, right? He could play the field extremely well. He's got speed. He's a great hitter. He could bat leadoff. He could bat third. He could bat wherever you want him to bat. I don't know. How's he do it? I don't know.
I don't get it either, but
It is what it is. I will go with Corey Seager though.
All right. And I'm gonna go with Gary the Goat.
Gary the Goat. No goat quite like Gary the Goat. I'll go with I'll go with Crawford, man. If he's leading off at 27, why not? So we've got players from basically every team except for Washington, which makes sense. That's on theme. That's on theme with the rest of the show. I don't see any questions, bro. So okay. Nah. Crawford bomb. I'm calling it. He called it before I did. Got to give him his props. Nah in the chat did call the Crawford bomb before I actually said it. So got to give credit where credit's due. So that's going to do it for us, Nation. For our first show, felt good to be back. Get the little cobwebs off the old machine. And, hopefully you're trying out the new content, see how it goes. Hit that like button if you haven't already. The YouTube streams will continue to be free Monday through Friday. Please subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Make sure you have notifications bell on so you don't miss whenever we go live. We cover a multitude of sports, including NBA, which is coming back in just another week or so. Paulie, anything in closing before we let the nation go?
No, great to be back. Tomorrow will be more of the real deal, and NBA in a week. We're gonna be rolling, doing that dirty. Great to see the nation. Great to see you, CK. See you tomorrow.
Likewise, for Paulie D, for myself, the entire Wise Take Nation. Hold on. Frank got a question, and Frank gave us the super chat. So Frank is going to get this question answered. Top 3 Yankees.
Top 3 Yankees. Gary Sanchez, Aaron Judge, and Gleyber Torres. Although I will be playing a lot of Tyler Wade as well.
I was just going to say Tyler Wade would be on my list, and that's a lot to do with price, but also that he's left-handed. Tyler Wade, Aaron Hicks, and I will go with Gary the Goat as well for me. Frank, that's for you because we missed you and we missed the nation, and you did the super chat thing, and I forgot that was a thing. So you reminded me that was a thing that we had. So I appreciate you, Frank. You are a man of the nation. You are a man of the people. For Paulie D, for myself, the entire Wise Take Nation, as always, good luck.
Yeah.